I'm pissed. Let's go take this out on Northwestern big time. And I cannot be alone. If we're feeling that, they're definitely feeling that. Jed's in press conferences, fielding questions nonstop, second guessing his play calling, his personnel decisions. There's no way he's not furious and going into this game wanting to blow the doors off a team.
He didn't have an option or an audible to call out of that. That is the biggest issue for me that pisses me off, to no utter end.
All right, dog fans, before we hop into the show, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, and we appreciate the support. Thanks to our sponsor, Simply Seattle, we'll be picking out one lucky new subscriber to win free Washington Huskies t-shirt and hat. To enter, just subscribe, drop a comment below letting us know that you've done it. You can be out there flexing that new Husky drip, that new Husky swag in no time. Plus, don't forget to check out Simply Seattle's QR code at the bottom of the screen, which will take you directly to their website for all your Washington Husky apparel needs. Good luck. Go Dogs. Thank you for everything.
Welcome to the Dubbed Up Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Flaunt. This week, we're reeling from our wounds after the Apple Cup. We're going to get into that. We're also going to look at Northwestern coming up in the beginning of Big Ten play. I got my guys Izzo and Noah with me. Fellas, I know you're hurting because so am I. How are we feeling post-loss to Northwestern? This is our first time actually dealing with a regular season loss as the Dubbed Up Podcast. So we're treading in new grounds here. Izzo, how are you feeling, man?
Oh, I'm right there with everybody else. Good timing for me on the vacation this week, which is why this podcast is coming out so late. Went to California with my wife and the in-laws, but yeah, it was a long week. I had to eat, we all had to eat some crow. I mean, I just tweeted out right when the game ended. It was like, whatever I receive from here, I've deserved. So just come at me. Come on, Duck fans, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I generally I'm going to try to stay away from the things that have been talked about all week. But we'll probably go over those too. But, this game just kind of it made me realize that how much coaching matters. As much as we want to do football math and, dissect matchups and stuff like that, it doesn't matter if you're not schemed correctly, if you're pulling guys in and out of, Noah's talked about it ad nauseum for weeks now. We need continuity on the offensive line. And what we didn't realize was the effect of continuity at quarterback. Mike asked at the beginning of the year, are we going to see a lot of DeMond Williams this year? And I think the consensus was when we're up big or if they scheme something specific for him. But it was interesting to see us in that game give him a couple drives, at least worth of PT. I don't think there's go ahead.
I was to say, big moments too.
Yeah. It's just I don't know if it's a major key takeaway. Obviously, the penalties, we gave them 6 first downs. What are the percentage odds of teams who give 6 first downs on penalties and then win the game? I would be willing to bet it's 5% or something crazy low. And so you just hamstrung yourself all game. There's the Denzel Boston reach out, which, we were talking before we clicked record here. And my opinion is that from the TV broadcast, you couldn't really see the sideline. There was a lot of people standing in the way. It looked like he was just trotting outside of bounds, but I think he got pushed from the back. He could have definitely turned upfield and maybe done something different, but I don't think that's not as fans, we fixate on those things that seem really drastic. And I think obviously that's a huge part of the game that's set up the 4th and 1 fiasco. But it just didn't seem like rewatching it wasn't as egregious. There were so many more things that were the reasons that we lost this game. And I know that's a faux pas, but you can't give 165 yards of penalties, dude. You're never going to win games doing that. So that was obviously disappointing, but I got more thoughts. But.
One thing you said before I kind of say my piece or my opener, it's you do look at that and you ask the question, if you remember, Will Rogers had that big 17-yard run late in that first half, right? He has a 17-yard run, and then immediately DeMond Williams comes in right after that run. We go Jonah Coleman for 4, Jonah Coleman for 3. Then we try to, I think, hit a swing pass to Jonah Coleman from DeMond Williams, and then we punt the ball. Then so we're thinking we're all going down to score. It's about, Janikowski, misses the field goal. We get the ball back, and it's like we're gonna go score here before the half. In turn, Wazoo gets the ball. We go 3rd and 20 on a Zoe sack, and then Mateer hits us on that 25-yard scamper into the end zone, completely flips the script of the game. So back to your point, is though it's like those little just decisions that coaches make, especially in college football, just end up being just absolutely just ginormous, and
Yeah.
it's just killer.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on, I know after the game when we talked, I think your one of your first questions to me was, where was Durfee? My thought on that was that were they just not comfortable with keeping him in the entire game because they didn't want to over pursue the quarterback because they knew they needed to contain Mateer? Or like, what was your thoughts? Am I reading into that too much, or like, what do you think?
No, man. I mean, that was my first question. Like, where's Durfee? Where was Ward? Because if you remember in our preview, I thought like Durfee and Ward, and we saw when they played, I thought they were going to kill these tackles.
Yeah.
And we went with this like extreme Zoom package. Remember, we talked this like Zoom package, this NASCAR package for years now, and we've always talked about it in situations. Dude, we were running that as like our base front. For like,
Yeah.
I remember looking at it. Izzo was sitting, I think, a row or two in front of me, and I said to him, I said, "Izzo, House is playing edge. House is playing edge again." Like, and we're talking first drive, and I'm going like, this is definitely not what I was thinking, and it looked like this was like this weird spy thing, almost from the edge, which you don't see a lot, and so, man, I wish I had a better answer for you, but it still is very surprising to me that you didn't have Durfee and Ward, because you would think both of those guys could run with Mateer. And don't get me wrong, Mateer can get up and go, and he's very hard tackle to bring down. But that was a question that I had for sure. I do want to say this though. You get into a game like this, man, and dude, sometimes you just gotta tip your hats to the Cougs, man. I mean,
Hmm.
uh, you always say, you always say, oh, I want to win a game a certain way, and people say like, oh, we didn't score soon enough or this or that. But at the end of the day, if you win ugly, at least you got the dub, right? And but then if you go on like ESPN or go on Fox or whatever it is, and you look at the statistics, it's like if you just looked at these statistics, you would go, oh, UW won this game by 10, 13 points.
Yeah.
But then you go look
Without looking at the penalties.
and then you go look at our penalties. It's like 16 for 140. And man, it's someone will probably try to clip this, but I'm going to say it, man. Like, I never want to be the referees make a decision, but if you're going to call ticky tack, you got to call ticky tack the whole time.
Mm.
And that's what's frustrating to me about this game. I thought they picked and choose when they wanted to make calls, and that really frustrated me. Watching this game. I said, man, we got to ball up Mateer. And here's the deal, man. We kind of did.
We definitely did.
He has those two big runs. And I mean, dude, big players make big plays in big games. And he did. He made that 25 and a 22-yard run for touchdown. But if you take those two plays out, he averaged less than a yard a run.
Yeah. It's like a tale of two halves. Like, I thought we did a way better job in the second half, pretty much every aspect of the defense. And you're right, that's a good call out, actually. So two big runs broke, and that's what you're going to deal with like a running quarterback, right? It's like he's not going to get like it's not going to be a running back stat line where he gets 9 and then 13 and that type of thing. There was the lack of pressure. When you rush 3 or 4 was, to me, when we were sitting in the stands and watching the game, Noah, we're like, what's going on? Like, and then I rewatched and I was like, I can understand this with their hand movements and kind of staying put. It wasn't like that they were just getting shut down. It looked like they were playing to contain.
Yeah,
that's real.
That was, I think, my only thing that could possibly justify Durfee, but we don't know enough about exactly how they feel about Zach Durfee being able to contain a quarterback, right? Like, or Ward or whoever it is. I mean, if we're going to highlight some, like, like Noah had said, like you look at the stat line, if you're going to highlight some positives, like if you look at Will Rogers' stat line and you look at Giles Jackson's stat line, you're going, that's a W. 99 out of 100 times, unless you give up 16 penalties and 165.
Jonah Coleman too.
Yeah.
Jonah Coleman, Adam
what did
Muhammad.
Jonah end up? What was his stat? How did he end up
I
again?
think 14 for 75.
I'll tell you right.
I think it's like 14 to 75, something like that.
14 for 75. Cam Davis was 5 for 24, and Adam Muhammad was 3 for 16. 4.8 yards a carry, 5.4 and 5.3 yards per carry. I'll take all that.
Let me say this real quick, and this kind of goes in. I was going to talk about this, and then we were like, should I talk about it, should I not? But I want to talk about the fourth down play, and it's probably not what you guys think, but I'm bringing it up now because we're talking Jonah Coleman, okay? So I know Coach Peterson and Brock and Softy, everyone's broke this play down, and I'm going to say something actually a little bit deeper, I think, than what they said. So the fourth down play, you go speed option to the boundary. You know what, man? I don't really care. Call that play, and that's fine. But we have a 6-year senior quarterback that has seen SEC defense after SEC defense for 4 straight years, okay? And then he talks about in the postgame show, he didn't have an option or an audible to call out of that. That is the biggest issue for me that pisses me off to no utter end. Because you line up, and you have your tackle there, you have your tight end, and you're looking for your leverage points, okay? So remember, I went to the Air Force Academy. We run triple option. That's all we run. We run a little spread triple there, right? So our quarterbacks always know you want someone on the outside there to leverage off, but you have to make sure your tight end can make sure to make his block, and your tackle can make his block. And whoever's on the edge there, that's fine because that's my option. But if you have too many guys outside, which we did, you should have had an audible there to be able to say, oh, wait a minute, there's 5 guys in the box. Now go back to what you guys just said about Jonah Coleman. Run inside zone, run it directly up there, you know what, and we got a touchdown and we win that game.
Totally. That's a great call.
It's a great call.
And honestly, regardless of whether or not you believe it was scheme or execution on that play, or if you feel like it's an audible, it all falls on your head coach. It all falls on the guy that because if it's scheme, then it's coach. If they're not disciplined in their assignments, apparently that was the go-to for all week. They said they had their must-have play, and that was their must-have play or whatever. Then that should not be a question that guys execute there. And so
it's real.
Whichever way you want to cut that play, that's your head coach. And there was your head coach, your OC, or whatever you want to call it. And that wasn't the only thing that they did terribly in this game from a scheme perspective. Like there was a lot more. Like there was a bunch of drives where it's like, dude, just run the rock right here. What are we doing? Don't be cute. Like Adam Muhammad, there was one of the runs, and this is your third running back. Or your second, or whatever you want to call it. It's either your second or your third running back. However, if you want to call Cam Davis your number 2 or whatever, where he had a rush where, dude, he just beast moded a guy that was going to get him in the backfield, and he broke another 7 yards. Like the guy is impossible to bring down, and you could wear down that deep. We had so many drives.
You said that last week about not being cute, and they were cute.
Yep. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, I don't remember exactly when that was in the game. It might have been late second quarter, early third quarter, but I seriously remember after that run, I'm like, we're more physically dominant than them. Just keep running right at them. And the fact of the matter is, how many times during that game, sorry, 24, you suck on Wazoo, but how many times did I literally say, go right at that kid? He wants no business in this game. Dude, he was ducking out of tackles. He didn't want to get blocked by Denzel, didn't want to get blocked by Hunter. Dude, when you sometimes have an opportunity to just punk a kid, punk him, dude. And that's where it's frustrating, man. Like, that's where I said this to you, Izzo. I said, dude, it was 6 minutes ago in the third quarter. I go, dude, Fish, you're getting out coached right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dickert wasn't doing anything crazy, but it seemed like every time we put pressure on the quarterback, he ran that inside bubble screen. Every time we got him in 3rd and 20, he knew he probably wasn't going to get the touchdown on 3rd and 20, whatever that was, 3rd and 21. So he was just trying to get 10 yards on that draw by Mateer to get Janikowski a closer field goal. Instead, he bounces that out, gets a touchdown. But it's just one of those things where Dickert seemed like that game, he was there for the moment, and Fish didn't realize how big of a game that is for inside the state of Washington.
I got a question for you guys. Have you ever wanted to walk into Husky Stadium where there's 70,000 people and be the best looking person in the stadium? If you have, make sure you go to Simply Seattle, hit that QR code. Our good friends at Simply Seattle hooked us up and we look great. You see that QR code? Make sure you snap that, go check it out. Get all the Husky gear you want, plus Mariners, Sonics, Storm, all that stuff, everything at Simply Seattle.
While you're at it, be sure to check out the Dubbed Up Discord community with over 2,700 members. It's the largest organized chat room for all things Washington Husky athletics. You want insider access? Our VIP membership unlocks exclusive chat rooms and rumors you won't find anywhere else. Hit the QR code on the screen and join the conversation today. Go Dogs. Thank you for everything. I really just think they overthought it. Like, they were reactive in their play calling and they weren't attacking. But
That's right.
like you had brought up, Mike, the stats of 386 or whatever Wazoo had, and then 420 something or whatever.
452.
That is with a drive taken away from you when Ephesian Price pick, or was it Efi or was it Thad who had the pick that got recalled? I think it was
Price.
Oh, Price. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's an interception. So then you gave them a drive, then they go down the field and I think they kicked a field goal after that. So that's those statistics. And then you add on giving them 6 first downs on penalties. So what you won't hear from any UW fans, and I don't know if anybody else has picked up on this, but there's been no irritation towards Steve Belichick and the defense. The biggest gripe that we had is that it didn't seem like they had pressure when they were rushing 4. But again, it's impossible for us to know whether or not that's schemed to not have a ton of pressure because they're playing contained, because the edges are playing contained. I think the defense showed up as they have on a regular basis, other than these dumb penalties. There's Jackson got burned on a touchdown or on a PI that he got in the end zone or whatever.
Yeah.
That gave them a first down. So outside of those things, like you have to really look deep to find things that was wrong with the defense, and everything seemed to be troubles on offense from a game plan perspective.
Dude, shout out to Grady Gross going 4 for 4 field goals.
Yeah.
Dude, he's
nails. He's nails.
Absolute nails. I think I was just playing NCAA or EA. I'll never get used to it. EA college football last night, and they have Grady at a 76. Might be the biggest crime on the entire team.
It really is.
He's
especially what he did last year. He was on point for us last year.
On point. He's clutch.
Huge games.
Kudos. Like, we can end this on a positive note. I think that this is a smack in the mouth that you can't, like, it just feels like, as fans, for me, I'm pissed. Let's go take this out on Northwestern big time. And I cannot be alone. If we're feeling that, they're definitely feeling that. Jed's in press conferences, fielding questions nonstop, second guessing his play calling, his personnel decisions. There's no way he's not furious and going into this game wanting to blow the doors off a team. So agreed. I bet you that's how they practice this week. If we're going to give out some game balls, Giles Jackson, Will Rogers, Grady Gross, Jonah had a great game, but
Zoe had a great game too.
Zoe had a great game. Carson was giving everything he had before he got injured.
Dude,
I want to see more Kamori House. I thought when they were playing him, he seemed to be really effective, and then they took him off the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Zoe's playing. Obviously, he hasn't had any Big Ten play yet, but dude, he's playing like an all Big Ten linebacker, man.
Amen.
Yeah. Do we have any news on Bruner?
Jed said that if this was the NFL, he would list him as probable.
Okay.
So honestly, I don't know. I don't know how confident. I mean, you can't tell with the mind games, with how he's going to be extra guarded and how guys are health wise right now. So I would take everything that Jed Fish says about the health of players with a complete grain of salt.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless
I
he's
agree.
got some history I don't know about where he's just like the extra truthful guy about status of players. But if I was him, I wouldn't be telling people shit.
Yeah,
Excuse
that's
my
real.
language, but
That's very, very real. All right, is there anything else we want to get into on the Apple Cup recap, or do we want to move forward to Northwestern?
no, I'll just say discipline lost the game for Washington. No matter how you split it, it's on the coaches.
Yep, I agree. I feel it feels kind of like the Arizona State game from 2 years ago, and we saw how we responded to that, and we didn't lose a game for another almost 2 years. So
You
maybe,
can't get
just maybe,
you can't get three trips inside the 25 against Wazoo, and they're all field goals. You can't do that.
nope.